Strategy Battle Gamers, welcome to another GBHL YouTube channel video. It's me, GBHL James, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different format today. There is a reason for this, because I'm not sure whether this video is going to be Speak Friend and Question or my hobby blog on Monday. So basically on Thursday, GBHL Jamie and I got together with Mr. Ian Spiller to record what I think is one of the most epic and most good looking battle reports that we've ever done on the channel. An epic 1,000 points of very rare metal Dunlanding army attacking the gorgeous terrain made by Rick Fryer as Edoras, and against my all-mounted Rohan, and it was absolutely epic. And unfortunately we didn't get time to record Speak Friend and Question. Now Jamie did say that he might be recording a Speak Friend and Question with James Braund on the Friday evening, but I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. So as ever, I'm here to do and answer those questions. But just in case he has done Speak Friend and Question, just so that you don't have a very similar kind of format, what I am going to do is I'm going to merge this with my Monday hobby blog. So this will either go up on Sunday, or it will go up on Monday as a hobby vlog, and I'm just gonna be painting and catching up with some of my miniatures. So how have I been getting on? Well, I'm pretty happy that my 6 Rivendell Knights that were mostly painted are pretty much done. Just a couple of little touches that need doing on them, but not a lot really. Really the flesh on the face, that needs highlighting up, and then also doing the hooves. That needs doing, and also the what's it called? Is it the fletching of the arrow where you got the feathers? That just needs highlighting ever so slightly. But for the most part, these are done. I was also going to do a little bit of a highlight on the bows themselves, and the banner here just needs a little bit of work on it still to finish off. But those are pretty much done, and I have been making progress with the other 6 Rivendell Knights. So as you can see, if I bring one up towards you here. And there we go. So I have started putting on the silver on focus. So I've started painting the silver on. That of course needs shading. I've not put all the silver on yet. I've got to do the arms and everything, but then what I'll do is I will ink it, I will highlight that up, and then I'll be looking on to doing the cloaks, which is that. But what I'll do during this video is, as you can see, I've started basing these, and I think doing the basing shouldn't be too difficult while I answer some of the questions from Speak Friend and Question. Now I know that there was some confusion. We put it down as Speak Friend and Question 86, I believe, and missed out 85 somehow. That's completely my fault, because it was me editing and putting that video up last time. So what we'll do is, just in case GBHL Jamie does Speak Friend and Question 87, and just in case he does 85 that we missed out, what I will call this one is Speak Friend and Hobby Vlog number 86.5. So that's what we've got today. So I'm going to paint through these. I'm just going to do the bases, maybe do some of the silver, maybe ink some of it while I chat to you guys and answer some questions for you. Okay, so starting things off, we have Mr. One Good Riddance. Mr. One Good Riddance has put, "Thanks for the advice. Yes, I was wrong. The tournament is a 700 point one." So he's referring to the Nova Open, which is only in 2 weeks' time. Very exciting. I'm not planning on dropping a shade on the field though. Good, glad to hear that. What do you think is a healthy amount of might for 700 points? I look forward to meeting you in Nova. Go Team Britain. And that's from Constantine, of course, who we've known from the forums for a long time. So a healthy number of points, a healthy number of might at 700 points. Well, let's think of it this way. So in 500 points, you should be getting about 3 heroes in, and let's say a couple of those are 3 might. So I would say if you've got anywhere 700 points between 7 and 12, if you've got about 12 might, then you're doing really, really well. But I would say 7 as a minimum amount of might, and even then you'll be struggling. And I would probably say that if you're 9 and upwards, so working on the fact that you've probably got 3, 4 or maybe even 5 heroes depending on the kind of army, then that would be good. If I remember rightly, did you have a goblin army? So if you had a goblin army, a Moria goblin army, then of course you've got lots of options. Even though you've got shades in there, you've got options to take cheap might through captains, and you can take some of the named goblin heroes to get 3 might. So you could probably get up to what? Yeah, maybe 11 might-ish, 10, 11 might maybe, something along those lines. That would be really good. So I hope that helps, buddy. Next up we have Sean Shaw, and he's put, "Hi guys, I'm in the process of stripping and repainting my Isengard army." Ah, good man. So lots of do more browns and lots of browns and browns and more browns. It's always good fun. You put, "I've discovered that I have a lot of scouts and I've been inspired to maybe collect 600 point scout army. Would you recommend pure scouts or adding warg riders to improve them? Cheers as always." Okay, so I think if you are going to be a person who is putting together a scout army, then I would suggest you're not trying to make the most competitive Isengard army, so you're going for a theme. And as such, when you're making that kind of list, which isn't completely optimised, I would say that you can go for whatever you want. Urukai Scouts, they're not bad, but they're not brilliant. There are better options in the Isengard list, of course. But if you are going for a 600 point scout army, maybe for a bit of variety, get some warg riders in there, you know, just helping you get around to objectives and things. But really I would go for whatever you think is the coolest, because a scout army isn't going to be as competitive as a normal build Isengard army, you know, and certainly not your berserker feral heavy armies with crossbow support and the usual kind of heroes that you tend to see. So I hope that helps, Sean Shaw. Next up we've got Pascal Wibbe. He's like, "Hey guys, what do you think of a Rohan army with many throwing spears? I'm not sure if they're worth it with a moving shooting penalty. Greetings." I know that Jamie is a fan. GBHL Jamie is a bit of a fan of throwing spears, and I'm not really. And my thinking is that, you know, the riders of Rohan, and if you decide to have Westfold Red Shields, you know, with their 100% bow limit, and the fact they've got a strength 2 bow, you can do your moving and shooting thing anyway, and you don't have to get into that kind of dangerous range. Yes, a throwing spear is 8 inches, yes it's strength 3, so it's going to help you against you know, your defense 5 stuff in particular, or even your defense 3 stuff if you're up against elves, in particular hobbits and stuff. But throwing spears have always been something of an afterthought. I think if you build your army around throwing spears, then what you can end up doing is limiting you know, what else you can take. So let's say, and very very quickly it can add up. So you know, even with let's say you've got a warrior of Rohan and you whack a throwing spear on him, and all of a sudden he's, you know, he's not expensive, but for what he is, he's quite expensive, just for the ability to, you know, have a throwing spear which you're probably going to be hitting on a 5+ most of the time. So if it is going to work, then it has to be in a hoardy situation, and that means that you're basically taking bog standard warriors of Rohan, which aren't fantastic, and you're making them a bit more expensive. Would it be better having more troops for the same cost as those throwing spears? Let's say you've got 3 whole warbands full. You know, that's like 70 odd points of throwing spear. You know, is it worth it? Will it make it back? At 5+, I have to say probably not. It would be good if particularly if you're charging. If you're charging and you get to throw the throwing spear and you still got it at 4+, for any throwing weapon, or you still got it at normal if you're doing a charge, then I think that would be slightly better. But I just think that the moving shooting penalty really does hinder that. And you know, 2 points added to a warrior Rohan, you know, it would be better just to spam them and just use them as a, you know, try and get as many models as you can to have axes, and just have them as a really cheap chaff piercing striking horde, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't rate them. I don't tend to take them in mine. If I do take them, it's because I've got a couple of points spare and I whack them on a royal guard just to give him a bit of extra value maybe. So I hope that helps. Already my multitasking skills are a bit on show here. I'm not doing very well. I'm not even started painting anything. I can't even find my paints while I'm talking. Come on, where is it? There we go, Rhinox hide. That's the one that we want. Okay, so next up we've got Alex Francis. He's put, hey guys, this is my first question on Speak Friend and Question. Ha! Brilliant. Well, that means that you are now stuck in the loop, my friend, and the loop means that every single week, forever and ever, you must ask us another question to help us keep this show going. That is the rule of Speak Friend and Question. So you put, I won't bore you with an army list, but I do have a couple of questions on model profiles. Okay, so you've put, I'm thinking of building an old Mirkwood force with throwing wheel, and was wondering if I should only give the bowmen the Mirkwood guard upgrade or all the wood elves and give them all throwing daggers. Would it be too costly? So interestingly, a kind of similar answer to before. So now that you've got the move and shoot penalty, and the fact that elves have got a strength 3 bow anyway, because they've got a strength 3 bow, do you really need a throwing dagger? You know, is it really giving you anything to your force, especially because it's going to be harder to hit again? If there was no move and shoot penalty on throwing weapon, then yeah, it might be worth it. But all of a sudden, you know, that's really going to add up in points. I think, is a throwing dagger 2 points as well? Even if it's 1 point, you know, you're denying the opportunity to get more troops, and that's one of the strengths of the Wood Elf list, the old Wood Elf list, is the fact that you can get lots of very good, although you know they're pretty soft, but lots of very good troops, and because they've got relatively cheap heroes for what they do, and the troops are pretty cheap for everything that they've got, which is good for them. So the moment you start adding something on like throwing daggers, again you're making them pretty expensive. And even if you had the Mirkwood guard upgrade on them, so they were still, you know, they were hitting on 3+ when they were moving, I just don't think it's worth it personally. But that's my own opinion. If you can make it work, give it a go, but it's not something that I would ever build into a list. I would say stay away from throwing weapons unless they come part of it. You know, they're a nice bonus to have, but I wouldn't build your list around them, in my opinion. And the second part of your question is, if I can do more than 2 things at once, there we go. My second question is, are Sentinels worth it at a 500 points level? And if so, how many should I take? This was a really great video, and thank you in advance. Well, thank you very much, buddy. Okay, so Sentinels. Sentinels is an interesting one. Obviously, their rules, you know, Eldamar Madrigal is a very good, well, it's a very good special rule that can really sort of help you in certain games against certain models and certain problems. But they are expensive for what they are, and what I mean by that is it's a lot of points for a defense 3 single wound model. You know, they go down pretty quickly, and they are going to be target priority. I think it's one of those, again, you know, you don't build your list around the fact that you're going to have a Sentinel in there, but you know, if you've got the points and you don't know how to sort of fill up the points, it might be worth taking one. You know, 1 at 500 points is maybe okay, you know, maybe 2. I think, personally, I think that there are better ways to go than taking a Sentinel, but the special rule is handy. You know, Jamie likes them, a lot of people rate them. I've never really had a problem when I've come up against them, but then I suppose I play Rohan mostly and tend to have James Braund in there with his +2 courage horn. You know, it's never really caused an issue. And like I say, they tend to go down pretty quickly because they're only defense 3, and that's the main thing, is they're very expensive for a defense 3 model. You know, especially with the emergence of so much hurl and everything with the brutal power attacks, you know, before they maybe safely sit behind a line, you know, not getting hit, but now, you know, a monster comes in and just hurls something through, you know, it's not going to take much, just needs force to wound him off the hurl. So I would say no, don't build your list around it, but you know, if you've got the points to fit one in, you know, it's not the worst call in the world, because their special rules are pretty good. So that's just my opinion on it. Jamie would probably say maybe something a little bit different. He really rates them, I think, but not for me. Okay, so next up we've got Northwest Hobbit campaign. This is Stephen Crow. He's put, first and foremost, good luck at Nova. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll get my army ready for it in time. I'm sure I will actually. I'm feeling a bit more confident about getting these guys done. I honestly don't think I'm that far away with the ones with the black cloaks at the moment. A little bit of work on the armour and then doing the cloak should be really good fun. I've saved the best till last, the bit that I find the most fun till last. And then I've got the pleasure of painting mounted legless, so that's really should be a reward for all of my hard work over the last few weeks, which you've had to endure on a Monday hobby vlog. You put, I know my GBHL buddies are going to obliterate those trash talking Yankee Doodles. Well, we shall see. I'm sure they've got plenty of great players over there. Should be a nice challenge, and I'm just looking forward to meeting everybody, you know, above everything else. They've got some fantastic prizes over there, and there is a little bit of the fact that, you know, we don't want to go over there and embarrass ourselves, you know, and think, oh well, that Great British Hobbit League is nothing if these are some of the sort of top guys and they don't perform very well. So there is a little bit of that. My question is, with the indie models being released for the profiles that GW never made models for, will they become an accepted edition? Would it become an accepted addition to the models allowed at tournaments in the future? I know you can't answer for everyone, but what about your tourneys? The unreleased miniatures models are so good and fit the profiles to a T, and obviously there's no benefit to the player other than having an awesome looking army on the table. I'm all for these minis being used, as we won't be getting any more from GW, just trying to gauge other people's opinions. Well, it is a really interesting one. So of course, for those of you that aren't aware, there is a site called Unreleased Miniatures, who is producing miniatures, you know, such as Random Dwarf Lord, which has a likeness to Thorin, and Fat Bismarck, which has a likeness to maybe a mounted Forlorn the Fat. Basically miniatures that Games Workshop never brought out, or haven't brought out yet. Now, in terms of using them at tournaments, it is a tough one, and as you correctly mentioned before, some tournaments will be absolutely fine with it and others won't be. Now, I think with us it's in particularly tough because we've got the YouTube channel as a vehicle. It means that in some ways sometimes we've got to be a little bit whiter than white, you know. We've got the most amount of exposure, so especially if we've got the cameras on and we're filming, you know, we don't really want to be showing off Games Workshop's game while they still support it and showing off sort of ripped off miniatures, as it were. But then again, they're not ripped off miniatures. They are miniatures that could, you know, they could just be, if you think of it like this, if someone made the conversion and made a conversion that looked like that and did it all themselves with green stuff and everything, I don't think that there would be any question about it. We would probably be like, wow, yeah, that looks really, really cool. I like the idea of it. Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can bring. Of course you can bring your mounted Forlorn the Fat, because you know you've done it, haven't you, Steve Crow? You've got a mounted Forlorn the Fat that you converted yourself, and it's really cool. And all this is effectively someone doing that, but they've replicating it and then giving other people the chance to sort of, who aren't as good at conversions, to use that. So there is that little element of that, which is quite interesting. Now in terms of using profiles, I mean, so for example, if there was this Fat Bismarck miniature, you know, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it, to be honest. You know, it is clearly Forlorn the Fat. Your opponents aren't going to be confused. It looks like a good likeness. The miniature doesn't exist. Not everybody is good with converting. I'd say it is tough, but I think that I wouldn't be as bothered about it. With stuff like Random Dwarf Lord on Warpig, so clearly people would like the idea of using that as Dane. Well, I wouldn't want made up profiles, so people couldn't come and go, well, what I've done is I've given Dane a pony profile and that's what we're going to do, because then that really is sort of creating something which isn't in the game. Whereas, for example, if you decided that you just wanted a cool theme where you were using him as Thorin on pony, maybe, or Dwalin on pony, or something along those lines, and he was leading the correct types of troops and stuff like that, then again I don't think I would have too much of an issue with it, but I'm not sure I'm at the stage where I would massively encourage it, or encourage it en masse, as it were. So it's a tough one. I'll probably have to speak to Jamie about it. I think that lots of tournaments will be okay with it, and I think one or two won't be. And I think we're in a particularly sort of difficult position because of the exposure that we have. It's just kind of like, well, which kind of way do we want to go? In the past, we've been kind of no with it. But I think that it's cool, and I don't think there's particularly too much wrong with it. So. It's interesting. So anyway, thanks for your question. It's a good, interesting discussion. I wonder what everybody else thinks out there. Maybe leave a comment below. So next up we've got the Norwegian Viking. It's Andreas. He's put, haha, I thought about commenting about the Jaffa cakes not being biscuits at the time. Yeah, that blew my mind. That absolutely blew my mind. I didn't know about that. And Jamie told me the sort of tax reasons for things being biscuits and not cakes and all that kind of stuff. This was knowledge which I never knew. So if that ever comes up in a pub quiz, I'm sorted now. Absolutely sorted. Okay, so you went for Angmar for the second season of Battle Companies. Good choice. Angmar's cool. Yeah, very cool. I'm looking forward to doing some more stuff with the Angmar army from Generation Shift. Should be really cool. We've decided to do more English content for our YouTube channel here, so hobby vlogs from me and Joachim are coming weekly. I'll be filming all 15 games I will play in the Battle Companies and posting them, so if you have time, check out our channel. Or certainly will, and I think maybe an impromptu scouring of YouTube for Andreas, the Norwegian Vikings YouTube channel there. So if you guys go and check out the previous Speak Friend and Question, have a little look for Andreas's link, and there's a YouTube link there, maybe go and check it out, subscribe to him, tell him that he's been scoured. For those of you that are relatively new to the channel, scouring of YouTube was something we used to do a long time ago, until it kind of ran out of steam, where people would go and post on another YouTube channel and tell them that they've been scoured by our YouTube channel. Yeah, I think I caught one of your hobby vlogs, Andreas. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to watching your Battle Companies. So next up we've got Shen Barnes. He's put, hey guys, I'm new to this well-known loop. Good stuff. I was wondering if it's worth taking my mounted Tainted into my Angmar army. I think it's such a cool model. Thanks for your time and great bits. Well, listen buddy, if you really like the model and you think it's cool, then do it. But I'm telling you now, you'll be one of the only people ever in the history of the game to do it, because the Tainted is pretty awful. It's pretty awful. I mean, his special rule could be really good, like really overpowered, but the fact that it affects you as well, and the fact that I believe has he got one might, one fate, which isn't great if I remember rightly. I don't have a book in front of me, but he's not particularly good. There are better options. You know, one of the things that are really powerful about the named raids is that there are so many options in there which either buff up the armies that they're supposed to come with, or remove a lot of the weaknesses of, you know, your standard unnamed wraith, as it were. And I mean, I think the unnamed wraith is a brilliant profile. I don't think there's any need for the named wraiths. But the Tainted is one that we never ever see. But if you think it's a cool model, which it is, I think it's a cool model. If you think it's a cool model and you would like to bring it, then do it. Because that's all that matters ultimately, guys, is that you're having fun and you're getting to play your toy soldiers. You know, it's. But I wouldn't have any illusions of being particularly competitive with him. But who knows? You might be a military genius, tactical genius, and you might be able to show everybody just how OP the Tainted is. So thanks very much for that, Shen. Great to have you on board with the channel. Next up we've got Luke Davies. He's put, hey guys, was part of the loop many months ago, but now I'm back fully into the hobby and rejoining. Oh, great stuff. I'm thinking of creating a Dol Guldur themed army and was wondering if the Necromancer's option to upgrade orcs is worth it. Also, does this apply to Mordor orcs, or can random orcs benefit from this as well? Cheers guys, and keep up the great work. I don't think I have the source book to hand. No. I don't have the source book to hand, but I'm pretty sure isn't the Dol Guldur upgrade, does that not take them up to, did it take them up to Fight 4? And maybe does it increase their courage as well? I'm not sure. I think it definitely takes their fight value up. Now it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because in order to take them, you've got to take the necromancer. So, and the necromancer, he's good, but then you've got to kind of build your army around him. You've got to build your army around the necromancer. And you know, when you start looking at that with points, fight for, I mean, they're still just, when they've got shields, they're still a defense 5 model, you know, that's going to go down pretty quickly to things like elven shooting and most good armies. Yet the fight for means that they're in a better position for winning or drawing against a lot of stuff, you know. There's a lot of fight for out there with your dwarves and your elite men armies, in particular, your Haradrim elites. But I think building your army around it's a bit tough. Now does it, if you can do it on things like your captains, then that's worth it. Because if you can get your captain up to fight 5, from, I presume that they're fight 4 and they go to 5, is that right? And the orcs go from 3 to 4, I think. So if you can do it on the captains, but if it's just for the troops, I don't know. But then again, I think it's a very, very cool theme. I'm not sure many people who do it. It's something that I have theorised in the past, but because you've got to build it around the necromancer, I'm just not sure whether it's worth it. It's probably better, you know, if you want to be competitive, it's better just taking your Morannons full stop and having your strength 4, defence 6. You know, Morannons are pretty good in that respect. They're a very solid option. You know, you could say, well, maybe you could do it where you've got like a higher fight value rear ranks. You've got your Morannons on the front, and then you've got your rear spear rank, maybe of the Dol Guldur upgrade. But I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never seen it sort of done or winning. If anybody else has and has got some success with it, let us know in the comments below, because we don't know everything. We can only sort of give what we think. But I just think that for the points, you know, really you want to be hoarding out these kind of evil armies. You want to really hoard them out. And anything that you're adding points to, especially when they go down so easy, anything that you're adding points to is going to be denying you extra numbers pretty quickly, which means you're going to get broken reasonably quickly. And yet, with the presence of Fury, that might not matter so much, but still, I just think maybe it's not worth it. But I hope that helps. It sounds really, really cool. I don't think Morannon Orcs can benefit from it. Just off the top of my head. Okay, so next up we've got Brad Guy Hipster. He's got, hello. What's your opinion on the other Tolkien books becoming movies? Is there enough material? Well, there's definitely enough material. There's loads and loads of material. You know, the issue with it is, I think when people talk about, oh, you know, what about a Silmarillion the movie? I'm not sure that would work, because the Silmarillion is like a collection of histories. It's like, what can I say that it's like? Because it's all about creationism and everything, it's like a religious book, isn't it? It's like a Bible or a Quran or something along those lines, because it's telling you about, you know, how everything has been created. And therefore, because it's a collection of lots of little stories, it would make it quite hard to do in, not even just a film, but even in a series of films. I don't even think you could do like a trilogy of it. But I think you could pull out stories that are in there and turn them into a decent movie. You know, like individual stories. So, you know, the Leia Luthien, Beren and Luthien, for example, all of that story. Or you could go for the obvious one, which is the Children of Húrin, which is a good book, all about the fall of Curse of Turin and all of that, which is really, really good. But I mean, I think me and Jamie we've had this question before. I know, we've been doing this a long time, so we've had most questions before, to be honest. And I think one thing that we've said before is that it would make a very good series of series. So you could have like a a 10 episode series which focused on a particular part of the Silmarillion, and then season 2 would be a series again which focused on a particular part of the Silmarillion, and I think that would probably be a better way to go. Okay, but they'd have to be very careful because there'd be a lot of very die-hard fans who would be ready to jump on any mistakes. Okay, so next up we have got Wopchika. He's put, my question is simple: snog, marry, avoid with the other 3 GBHL hosts. Which one would be which? That's a good question. Snog, marry, avoid. That's really tough. Okay, so who would I want to marry? Do you know what? I think apart from the snoring, Tom is super talented. You know, I think maybe Tom. Maybe marry Tom. I won't marry Jamie. Jamie's got no money. To show how materialistic we are. Yeah, I probably won't marry Jamie. You know, but I can imagine having a drunken snog with him. But I can imagine having a drunken snog with Damien as well. God, let's have a little think here. This is a tough one, Wopchika. Very, very tough. Just because we're staying at Damien's at the end of the month before we go to Nova, when we go to the Longbottom Carnival, which is very exciting, I'm going to say that I would snog Damien and I would avoid Jamie, but purely on the reason that, that Damien's putting a roof over our head, and I would probably marry Tom. He's a very nice person. Okay, so and also not happy about this Resco Nesco pretender and your desire to see him replace me. Perhaps we should duel to see who is the better irritating name. Well, ever since we lost Chocho Master, you know, whatever happens to him, since we lost him, Wopchika, you've had the crown. But sometimes you disappear for weeks on end and you don't comment, you don't stay in the loop. So, you know, if Resco Nesco can have the consistency, then boom, you're out the door, pal. It's a dog-eat-dog world, isn't it, Wopchika? So next up we've got the Irish Cola Bearable. He's put, hey guys, what is your opinion on the King of the Dead? The King of the Dead is pretty awful, isn't he? It's such a shame because, you know, he's one of those where, because of his special rules, every 10, 20 games he's going to do something amazing and you're going to be like, oh my god, he just killed this in one go, you know. But the one attack fight 4 with no might is awful. Like, it's really truly awful. For 100 points as well, it's just, you know, if he was 50 points it might be okay, but for 100 points I personally think he's very awful, and I've never seen him do anything cool. He's a cool model and I think it's a very cool theme, and you know, every other tournament you tend to see sort of an Army of the Dead or part of an Army of the Dead theme, because it's a cool theme. But is he competitive? I would say absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think he's pretty awful, to be honest. So next up, Ross Diggle was talking about, well, just making a reference to himself because he gave spoilers at the last one. And then after that he put, okay, so my question this week is for a certain upcoming event. It's all Easterlings list, so I'm prepared for your disdain, however steer clear and hear out. The event leaves it quite difficult to have heroes under 250 points, and I want to try without Kamal. It certainly does. One of the cool things about obviously having to have 2 models, it's not just 2 heroes, it's 2 models. But one of the cool things about that is that you get to bring your big toys without the game slowing up too much. Because usually, if you up the points values, then usually it means that the Horde armies can hoard out even more. So you end up with, you know, 90 odd goblins to fight against, or 80 odd hobbits, you know, and Malbeth and stuff like that. You know, so I think your 80 odd hobbits at 500, 600 points, I think, let alone what you can do with goblins. So yeah, the idea is so that you can get to bring big toys and the games don't take too long. So you've put here Candlish King with bow and chariot, a Candlish King with bow and chariot. So let's just start there. 2 Candlish Kings. That is going to be tough for anybody to deal with. A Candlish King on a chariot is a pretty fearsome. You know, the fact that he's monstrous cavalry as well. Absolute beast. Fight 6. He's going to tear things up. Well, 1 Candlish King is a pain for any army to deal with. But to have 2, I think that's going to be really hard for your opponents. You've got Eastling Captain with shield, Eastling War Priest on an armed steed. You've got 6 Candlish Horsemen, 12 Candlish Warriors, 6 Eastlings with bows, 6 Eastlings with shields, and 6 Eastlings with shields and pikes. Okay. So I'm guessing have you got the Candlish. So the Candlish Horsemen have bows. I would maybe drop your Eastlings with bows and maybe put your Candlish Horsemen with bows, so you've got that kind of skirmish element maybe. Bit of a ranged threat. If you're going to take an Eastling Captain, maybe try and mount him up. Always a good idea to try and mount up your heroes. Or if you can do, you know, take Amdur or someone like that. You know, Amdur is really, really good if you can get him in. The Candlish Warriors, I guess, they give you 2-handed piercing strikes, and I guess they give you fight 4. And you like the models, and then you back them up with the pikes. You know, at 700 points, 40 models isn't terrible. Strength 6 with the War Priest, Chariot charge for knocking over other cavalry, Candlish Kings of banners, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have to play test it and see how you get on with it. I'm not a huge fan of Easterlings, as you well know, but I'm not really sure what advice I can give to that. Just the fact that you've got 2 Candlish Kings is going to be really hard for the enemy to deal with, and 40 models isn't a small number. But you know, I think your Candlish Kings are going to have to do a lot. I don't think the rest of your army will do a lot in a game. I think that they will have to be objective-driven troops, and your Candlish Kings are going to have to go and do a lot of the sort of killy stuff, really. So I hope that helps. So next up we've got Sebastian Avery. He's put, "Hi guys, good answer, Elvish Chariots, wow. My question is for Jamie." Well, maybe he's done a Speak Friendly question with James Braund, we don't know. Unfortunately, I've not been able to support you on Patreon, as I've not really got a reliable source of income, as I'm only 16. If I did in the future, would your previous Battle Company series be available to watch? Yes, it certainly would be. Those things aren't going to be deleted, they will remain there for anybody who wishes to support Jamie. And remember, for anybody who is upset about the idea that there is content that you can't see, just remember that there is content every single day provided by your GBHL host completely for free. And this is just so that Jamie can try and make a go of turning the channel into a full-time job for himself. So you know, good luck to him. So if anybody can support him, make sure you do. So next up we've got Jeremy Smith. He's put, "Speak. Hello again, boyos. Just got back from my second tournament and took first. Did I mention I took second at my first? Yes, you did." Well done. Congratulations, Jeremy Smith. I expect nothing less from you, pal. And you are all ready for Nova. Are you? Well, as you can see, I'm not all ready, but I'm getting there. As you can see, I'm not very good at this multitasking business, but I have put Rhinox hide on the bases of these guys. So when that's dried, I will dry brush it with Morphed Brown and do all of that stuff. So you put friend. Anyway, Jamie, I never lie, or at least not to you. And James, you dare to disrespect my Yorkies. My wife named them, by the way. Bilbo looks like a poodle mutt mix with a stupid hobbit name. Bilbo is awesome, and I'm pretty sure there is 3,600 subscribers, as well as everybody else who's ever met Bilbo who would agree. Where is he? Oh, there he is. He's absolutely shattered. He's absolutely shattered, this boy. Oh yeah. He just loves being around you, so he's asleep at my feet at the moment. I can't remember disrespecting your Yorkies. What did I say? I do apologise. And question, when resisting the effects of a spell, can I choose not to spend will out of my pool and instead use resistance to magic special ability? No. Resistance to magic only comes into play when you have 0 in your will store. Can I use will points to boost my resist roll, like might points, similar to a courage roll? Nope. You can only use might to boost resist rolls. Will has a special exception that it can be used for courage rolls, but for nothing else other than resisting spells. Can I spend a will point to resist, fail it, and then use my resistance to magic special rule? Definitely not. And now I'm getting worried that you've come first and second in a tournament, Jeremy Smith. Have you been cheating? Have you been cheating? Let me know. Because the answer to that, what force have you been using as well? I'm quite interested to hear what force you've been using and how you've been playing that against your opponents, because the answers to those are no. Okay, and you put, what do you think GBHL Tom will be bringing to Nova? Joke, first AJ Smith sign off. Well, I think GBHL Tom could bring absolute fluff and still do okay, but I don't think he will. I think that the prizes seem to be so good at the Nova Open. I mean, the chance to win a board or a Smaug is huge. You know, these are great prizes, but it's also the fact that there is that little bit of, you know, we've been invited to go over there, we're representing the UK in a lot of ways, and we don't really want to go over there and be shown up. You know, remember as well, you guys know us because you see us on the channel, so you know what armies we bring, you know what we're planning to bring. You know, if people wanted to and were expecting to play us, it'd be quite easy to tailor and everything. So there is that element of, okay, let's you know, let's go over there and try and do our best, not let ourselves down. So with that respect, I think that Tom will probably bring some kind of, I think he does best with his Wood Elves, and I don't think he'll go Wood Elf, I think he'll go more Galadriel Wood Elf. I think he likes having the defense 5 in there, and Guards of the Galadriel Court spattered around, and you know, he'll have his Wood Elves, he'll have maybe Galadriel and Thranduil and Legolas and Runil maybe, who knows. You never ever know with him. He might take, you know, he might take Azog and a bunch of Hunter Orcs and do really well, you know, knowing Tom, but who knows, Jeremy Smith. Okay, so next up we've got Resco and Escos, but eek, those armies planned for Nova sound cheesy as cheese can get, like Stilton or something. I don't think any of us are really being cheesy. I think that, well, I don't think so anyway, so I wouldn't say, for example, my force is particularly cheesy, but it is a competitive force. Rivendell Knights are competitive, but the sacrifice for that is, or the negative modifier for that really, is the fact that there's so few models. So when this army starts to collapse, it will collapse epically. But they are very, very, very good multi-rolled troops. They've got Fight 5, which is brilliant. You know, they've got the Lance on the charge. The fact that they've got the Elven Blades for drawn combats is brilliant. Defense 6, Elven Bows. You know, there's Woodland Creature. There's not a lot not to love about these guys. Rivendell Knight Captains are brilliant. Taking Gandalf the Grey with them isn't completely unthemey. If you think about when Gandalf is leading Thorin's company in the movie, you know, away from the chasing wargs and Yazneg, Gandalf the Grey's with him. The one bit maybe is the fact that then I've got a Legolas in there, you know, but it is the new Legolas. You know, he's the new Legolas, so yeah, he's pretty powerful. He's got a Fight 7, but it's, I'm not sure you'd call it cheesy. I would say that it's a pretty powerful list. It's like Damien's. Damien's, you would say it's a filthy list in some ways because it's incredibly competitive, because, and it does use a lot of, you know, ferals, but he's got more berserkers these days. You know, he takes a lot of berserkers these days, and I think that's because the emergence of good armies. So the emergence of there being lots of strength 3 means that defense 6 is very relevant again in a lot of ways. So he tends to take berserkers and crossbows, and but he doesn't throw anything in there that isn't outside of the list. It just happens to be that Isengard are a very competitive list, and his build is very competitive, and he knows how to use it. He's a very good player. And Saruman is amazing, and Grima is amazing. So maybe not a cheesy list, maybe not a cheesy list. I don't know. It comes back to that whole thing of how do you define cheese? I don't think that Tom's will be a cheesy list. I just think it will be a competitive, powerful list, and I'm not sure what Jamie is taking yet. So you could say that when he puts your Woses and your Elves together, that maybe you're trying to create some kind of cheese because you've got two of the most underpointed troops in the game that aren't part of the same list together, supporting each other. But you know, who knows? I don't think Jamie's decided what he's taking yet. He's probably the one who's kept his options the most open. So anyway, favourite unnamed captain model. I found a new love for the Grimhabber captain. Ooh, favourite unnamed captain model. Okay, so last week we were talking about the most competitive unnamed captain, which is clearly the Rivendell Knight captain. He's absolutely superb. But the favourite model, I really like the captain of Rohan that I painted. Just the normal one. The one on foot is a really nice model. Not the ones with the dead orcs. I mean, I really like that one, but I've got so many of them, and because I've been painting it, I don't think they're amazing models to paint particularly. There's bits of them which are a bit flawed, especially the fine cast version. The metal one's okay, but the fine cast one's a bit dodgy, some of them. But the metal captain of Rohan I really like, because I love that aesthetic. I love the Anglo-Saxon sort of Dark Age aesthetic. That's really cool. I really like the Uruk-hai captain from the Ballista set, so the one pointing. He's massive, he's a beast. I love that model, I really do love that model, he's really cool. So yeah, the Uruk-hai captain, because he's got that kind of crest, it's very kind of Greek mythology sort of crest, Corinthian helmet style crest. He's really cool. I'm not really a fan of the Wood Elf captains or the Galadrim captains, or I think the new armoured Mirkwood armoured captain was pretty cool, as were the new Lake Town militia captains. They were cool. I think the warrior of Erebor captain, or the captain of Erebor, whatever it was, not the Grimhammer captain, but the other one which is now out of production. That was really cool. I like that very much, but unfortunately I don't have one. What other unnamed captains? Oh, I really love the Morphed King. The Morphed King on camel is a brilliant sculpt. The Corsair captain's pretty cool actually. But yeah, the Morphed King, I've not finished painting him, but I remember when I was painting him I was thinking, my gosh, this model has got so much character. So yeah, just a few little ideas there. Oh, and also opinions on Shelob in the game. I think that with the right player, she could be a real pain to play against, but you know, she's not game breaking anyway. I think there are ways of dealing with her. And you've also put edit, paid on Monday, bring on Stockport. So yeah, very exciting. I've been looking at prizes for Redesolation of Stockport because I want to get some really cool prizes. I'm looking at some sort of genuine wetter prizes this time round. I know in the past that we've got the sort of the letter openers, you know, made from the armories and then mounted them as trophies, which has been really cool. But I want to do something a little bit different and cool this time. And I've also been looking at things that I can give to everybody that attends. And I've also been looking at just so that I get a quicker appreciation of the numbers that are coming, because I am going to be booking a meat cheese. I'm going to try and book that before I go to America, because last time I ended up in the Indian restaurant, which was great, but a lot of people do like the Amici's experience. And in order to book that, I have to have a better idea of numbers that are coming, because I do have to secure it on my credit card, which is of course a bit scary because I'm not loaded. So what I might do is I might be doing an early bird-esque thing where I will give a cut-off point, and everybody who's already bought a ticket will be entered into this draw, and everybody up to that cut-off point will be entered into a draw to win a prize. And I'm currently working out what that prize will be, but it's going to be an absolutely epic prize. So what I would say is that if you haven't bought your ticket for Redesolation of Stockport yet, which remember is at the start of October, we do have a video with all of the details there, and if you need a link to the Facebook page, just have a little look in the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page in the events tab. All the rules packs in there. It's 3rd and 4th of October. If you've not got your ticket yet, get it now. get it now. Give us a good idea about how many of you are coming. I think so far I've got about 15 pay, which is all right considering there's a couple of tournaments between us and then, and it's not October yet. But it would be much better, especially in terms of getting prizes together as well, and some of the prizes I've seen, and it'll be worth me sort of giving a prize for people for booking early, if it puts me in a position where I can get some really cool prizes in advance. So yes, brilliant that you're coming to Stockport, Resco and Esco, and well done for paying. Next up we've got Thomas Horatios, but hey GBHL, just wondering, is this number 85 or 86? Because you've marked it as 86. This week, it's more of a suggestion than a question. Maybe you guys should do some left-handed content, left-hand content week in the same way you've done sourcebook weeks. Well, I'm gonna a little bit of trivia for you guys. I know that you guys like trivia, and you've not had any Palantir, so I've got some trivia for you now. There has been some left-handed content this week. At some point, left-handed content was filmed. It is within some right-handed content, but left-handed content was filmed. I will come up with a prize, a good prize for anybody who can work out when the left-handed content was. And I'll give you a clue. I was involved in it, so you do have to watch a video that I'm involved in. Okay, so what's some left-hand content? In terms of what number this is, well, this one now is going to be 86.5 because I'm not sure what Jamie has done. But last week's it should have been 85, but I marked it as 86. So many apologies for confusing you all. Okay, so next up we've got. I'm sorry, buddy, I don't know what that name is. It's K. You put. And by the way, I'm not being disrespectful, just let us know how to say that next week. What do you think about the Balrog stats? Should I include it in a warrior army? Is it an independent hero or not? No, I believe it can lead troops. Should you include it in a warrior army? If you want to. It's cool. It suffers because it's got no might. It is just a big thing. Its stat line is very good. It is hard to kill a Balrog, but it only moves 6 inches. It can't fly. It's very easy to avoid. It's not amazing. If you give that thing might, maybe some spells, and make it 12-inch flying, then it might be worth its points, maybe. But it's very expensive, and it's going to find it very hard to make up its points back, especially in scenario play. You can include it in a warrior army. You can include it in a warrior army, and it's going to be something that your opponent's going to really struggle with. But if you are going to include it in a warrior army, then the whole rest of your army really you want to hoard out as much as you possibly can, and it's going to have to be in a higher points game, I would say. Just my opinion. So next up we've got Samuel Taylor. Samuel Taylor's put, hey guys, Jamie, I'm loving the Patreon content, great stuff. Good man. You put, I was wondering what you guys thought of the Palace Guard captain from Strandagel's hold list. Possible fight 7 with a spear seems amazing. I don't know what I'd rather take, him or Tariel. That is pretty good, isn't it? The thing is, Tariel is good, isn't she? She's got a very good rule. She's got a good amount of might. She's one of the only. I think, is she the only female character that's got strength 4? Her rule is very good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if a Palace Guard captain can go to fight 7, then that's really strong. That's really strong. I've never seen it done, and I've never thought about it myself, so I can't really comment on it in that way. But in theory, I think it could be good. You're losing out on your might and things. I mean, she's so good to sort of chuck in there against troops as a bit of a hand grenade and hope that she gets surrounded. And because if she rolls that 6, then a lot of problems. Whereas he's going to be more of a hero tire-upper at fight 7. That's probably what you're going to use him for. So I guess it depends what kind of role you want from your 3rd hero, to be honest. But let us know how you get on, because I've never seen that before. Okay, so next up we've got. So I'm getting massively distracted from my hobby blog side of this video here. It's just turned into Speak Friend and Question, not Speak Friend and Hobby Blog. We've got the AJ Gamer. He's put, thanks for answering my question last week. My question this week is, what are your opinions on Abercount Merchant Guard? They are very good. That's my opinions honestly, I think, ooh, hang on a minute. So I was just very excited that my wet palette, the silver in it, is still okay. Brilliant. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, Abercam Merchant Guard. Very, very good. I mean, burly, they're very good at killing things. When I write a Haradrim list, I don't tend to put loads in. I think putting 1 or 2 in as a little, you know, maybe 2 or 3 as a little kill team. You know, to sort of chop through certain parts of the line, maybe. Really get some damage done, but I don't tend to put them in, but they are very, very good, and you know, you do tend to see them in Haradrim lists, and they do tend to do pretty well. I can't remember if they affect the Serpent Sting or not. I think that they are part of the Serpent Sting, maybe. If so, then yeah, very good. Definitely take them. Next up, we've got 19 Mark F91. He's got, hey guys, in your opinion, what is the worst sculpted SPG model? Not for mould lines and flash, but just for the overall look of it. Happy strategy battle gaming. I absolutely loathe the old Suladan miniature. Just absolutely loathe it. Just completely against everything that Weta tried to do for, you know, those cultures, just so that they didn't just look like a bunch of guys from the Middle East. You know, they've got their own culture. Of course, they're from a warmer climate, so we can only use our own ideas. But a lot of the ideas behind the Haradrim were actually drawn from like Polynesian tribes, you know, with all the wicker and everything. And I just think that Suladan, it was just a cop out. Just looked like, you know, a cop out kind of just a Middle Eastern dude. I just think it's a bit disrespectful, really. It's just an awful pose. I really dislike that model. I'm not a huge fan of you know, the Glorfindel unarmoured on foot. I just think it's so cartoony. Bit of a shame, really. Who else am I not a fan of? Models I really don't like. Models I don't like. Just trying to go through the list now in my mind, as you do. No, I think that's one that I'm not hugely enamoured by. I'm not a massive fan of the Gilgalad model either. The model on foot. It's pretty static, and again the face a bit cartoony. Theodred, I think, is an awful model. Again, just he's got that kind of elf-like face, the big flat parts, and just poor sculpt, poor pose. I'm looking for one because I'm a Rohan man, but I'm not a massive fan of it. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan. So yeah, thank you very much for your question. Next up we've got Ian Marley's, but Victoria Sponge is unbelievable, especially with tea. Yeah, I agree. It is gorgeous. However, I mean, it goes to show just how good our cake maker was for our wedding, because we went for Victoria Sponge. But actually, before that, I would have said carrot cake. I love carrot cake, and I don't know why I didn't say that before when I was given that question, because that would normally, 99 times out of 100, be my answer. But this Victoria Sponge is pretty fit, and it does go well with tea. But I'm not very good with this loop thing. I've been missing question deadlines because of work and family stuff. Unbelievable. You put, will a pre-order be required for Amici's at Redestination of Stockport? I'm glad that we are going to Amici's, as last time it was ace. Yeah, I do like Amici's. Amici's is good. Some people don't like it, but I think it's good. I think it's a good place for a group to go. You know, if we can get in there again, then winner really. Will you require a pre-order? At the moment, no, but what I would recommend is just everybody start buying your tickets now. You know, start buying your tickets, because that'll give me a good idea of numbers, and then that'll avoid there being sort of a pre-order kind of rush. What I'll probably do is I'll probably end up booking it for about 60 people, but if we break records and get 70, then that's going to cause some problems if I don't know how many people are coming. So, so if you can get on it, guys, and buy your tickets, that'd be brilliant. Next up, we've got Matt Patterson. He's like, hi guys, I'm thinking about buying a second pack of Knights of Rivendell. Yeah, good idea. And I also want to make a Gil-galad mounted. I'm a tad scared to do so because I don't want to ruin one of my Knights, but I really want a Gil-galad mounted. Any tips or ideas? Yeah, go and check out, if you look at our Army Showcase video, Army Showcase J Finnegan's Elves that were painted by Yggdrasil Painting Studios, which is Myrtle / James Baldwin, a member of our community. If you go and check that out, he did a conversion and he just did a head swap, which is a head swap, and I think he used also the spear head, so that it was a bit different. Although I think Knights of Rivendell are great for those conversions. I think they're really, really good for, because people used to do it with the twins. Now the twins are beautiful metal models and reasonably expensive as well. Much, much better, I think, to do it with a Knight of Rivendell and just do a head swap. The heads are a little bit funny. I would probably take the head off before you put it together. Remember, it comes in 2 halves, and just slice off, but try and leave some of the neck, because on some of the metal models, like let's say if you did want to do a Glorfindel or a Gil-galad mounted, I don't think they've got much of a neck, so you want to kind of leave that bit. You want to just kind of take off, so if I just bring him nice and close, there you go. Can you see the blue bit? You want to kind of leave that blue bit on underneath the head. Leave the blue bit off and just chop the top part of the head off. And then I think it's an easy conversion to do, and you know, it's something that I'll be doing definitely, so I think it's a good idea. Also, any tips on this 700 point list? You've got Gil-galad mounted plus shield, that's good. Twins mounted plus armour. Arwen mounted. 16 Knights of Rivendell, 4 heroes. Sorry for the long question. Okay. Unfortunately, that list is illegal, my friend. Not meaning that you're going to get put away for making it, but you would not be able to use that in a competitive game, and that's because the Knights of Rivendell can't be led by heroes from the old Rivendell list. They've got to be led by either the new Elrond, Lindir, or a Rivendell Knight Captain. So what have you got there? Well, you've got the twins mounted and armour, that's 104. Arwen. If you dropped the twins and Arwen, you could have 2 Rivendell Knight Captains, which would be really good. Or if you dropped Gil-galad mounted and shield, what does that come to? Is he 100 and, that make him 160, 170-ish? Yeah, look along those lines, but having a couple of Rivendell Knight Captains is a bad idea. Or maybe even go for Elrond and Lindir if it's the Nature's Wrath that you want, you know, instead of Arwen. It's a nice theme, but unfortunately you can't do that, Matt. Okay, so next up we've got Jesse H. He's put, thanks again for answering my question. Next I want to ask about fighting ring raids. If my hero's been transfixed and then charged, can they heroic strike in a fight phase to bring their fight value back up to a respectable level by adding d6? I don't think so. They can use Might, Will and Fate, but I don't think they can heroic strike. E.g. Thorin is transfixed, fight value is halved to 3. In the fight phase he heroic strikes and rolls a 3, so his fight value is now back at 6. Or is it that new value still halved, so he would stay at fight 3? Or can he just not heroic strike at all because he's been transfixed? This has been community FAQ'd. So what I recommend you do is go onto the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page, and the top post, I can't remember all the details of the way that it has been FAQ'd, so I'm sorry I can't help you more. But in the top post, the community FAQ is there, and they have answered it, what you can and can't do when you've been transfixed. So for example, I think you can't do things like special strikes or even shield or anything like that, I think, because you're transfixed. But don't take my word for it. Go and have a little look for yourself, and that'll be a much more reliable answer for you, I have to say. Okay, so next up, you put also a second question, excluding the transfix query. When does the Knight of Umbar mimic characteristics? It states at the start of the fight phase, same as heroic actions. However, heroic strike does not happen until the combat is fought. Does that mean Knight of Umbar cannot claim the new heroic strike fight value? Yes, that's absolutely true. So he cannot claim the new fight value, he must claim the original value. So if someone heroic strikes against him, then he has to heroic strike to match them, if he chooses to, of course. But he can't mimic the new value, he must mimic the base value. So yeah, and with that in mind, also bear in mind that if someone heroic combats into him, because it's after the start of the fight phase, his fight value doesn't go up. If, for example, if he's fighting against something which is fight 4 and something that is fight 6 heroic combats into him, he doesn't go to fight 6 because it's after the start of the combat phase. So it's a really good way of taking down the Knight of Umbar. That's something which I've done before with Braund, actually, I think it was. Braund? I think Braund and Aema, one heroic struck, one heroic combat head. Something like that anyway, I can't remember, a long time ago. Okay, so next up we've got Larry Miller. It's been a long time with no question. Not got much painting done of late. Well, neither am I actually. I have to say this was a really terrible idea. It's going to be a really long video. You've got what happened to number 85. Well, we've already explained that, Larry. It's completely my fault. Next up we've got David Whittaker. He's put, for models that look a lot like actors, the Last Alliance Elrond has a great likeness to Hugo Weaving. Yep, I would agree. Which characters with existing models do you feel would benefit most from having another sculpt? I think Boromir could do with a decent version of himself on foot with his elf cloak and shield. Yeah, that'd be cool, though I really do like the Breaking of the Fellowship. Boromir, I like all the Breaking of the Fellowship models actually. I think that as a Rohan man, I would love another sculpt of Aemon on foot. He could do with something different. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep that as my answer, because Theoden's got a good one and stuff like that. I mean, I would like another sculpt of Theodred or something, so he didn't just look like an elf, maybe looks a little bit more like the character in the movie. It's probably the way that I would want. But yeah, I think Aemon on foot is one that I would really want. Okay, so next up we've got J22, a doubles partner. But hey guys, firstly I just want to put it out there that James, as Liverpool supporters, are not deluded. Watch at the end of the season. At the end of the season, I'll be proved right that Liverpool will not be in the top 4. Absolutely no way. Not unless something crazy happens in the transfer market, you know. But you are not going to come ahead of. You're not better than Arsenal. You're not better than Manchester City. You're not better than Chelsea, although they're having a bit of a meltdown at the start of the season with all this doctor stuff. But yeah, I think you're a bit deluded. You put anyway. Question for this week: better hero, Glorfindel mounted with his armour Gondlin, or new Thranduil mounted? Okay, let's finish. I think there's only one question after this. Okay, so who's better? Glorfindel mounted with armour Gondlin or new Thranduil mounted? Okay, so both 150 points. Both 150 points, so what do you get instead? They're both fight 7. Both strength 4. Thranduil is defense 6, and armour Gondlin for Glorfindel takes him to defense 7, so that's better. And of course he's got resistance to magic, whereas Thranduil's got the Blade Wrath Roar. Okay, so defense 7 is very, very, very important against other heroes. And I've not really had much of a chance to see the new Thranduil in action, although I really do rate him from a theory point of view. I've got him, I think he'd be perfect in all hero lists, but the fact that he's defense 6 does mean that, you know, heroes and strength 4 troops are going to wound him on 5s if he does lose a combat. And actually on a horse, he's not as good on his horse as he is when he's on foot, in some ways, you know, winning combats. I think Glorfindel is a solid choice. I think where he might struggle a little or isn't as good is because he's not got like a lance. Because he's not got a lance. They've both got elven blades. Because he's not got a lance, not got any kind of +1 to wound, then that can be a bit of an issue. but then again, neither does Thranduil. I think probably Glorfindel was a bit more of a kind of solid choice. I think Thranduil is a bit more of a risk, but has maybe more potential to do more in the game, you know, especially after he loses his horse. Whereas when Glorfindel loses his horse, you know, if his horse was a pure blood steed, for example, if you can move 12, then that would be pretty good for him. But okay, and then I've made a comment, and then that's that. Okay, so that was my bit of speak friend in question. So what I'm going to do is let's bring the camera around here, and I'll show you where I'm up to in terms of my my models. So this is the hobby vlog part. I've not really done much painting. I'll have to crack on. And the hobby vlog, to be fair, won't last particularly long, as I show you the progress that I have made. Okay, so here we go. Let's get this to focus. Brilliant. So as you can see, it's still the Riverdale Knights. These guys are pretty much done. You know, very, very, very happy with them. You can see, just got to do a bit of dry brushing on the arrow tips there, and also just a bit of highlighting up on the bow, and get a little bit of highlights in on the faces, which is going to be a bit tough, and get some stuff done on the hooves. But then these guys are going to be done. I can leave them well alone, which I'm looking forward to. And of course the banner still needs a bit of work. I'm toying on what to do in the centre of this banner. Steve Crow thinks I should put like a little Union Jack, or I wanted to allude to it without doing it, which is why I've got the reds and the blues in there. Needs a bit of extra highlighting, I think. It needs a bit of a dry brush to blue. And I was thinking about just doing some kind of like yellow sun or something in there, to be honest, but I'm not too sure. We shall see. And then with these guys, as you can see, most of them I have begun painting the silver armour. I've done their kecks now, I've done their pants, which is good. I'll start getting the silver on. I've got the silver on the shields, on the helmets, on the chest plates. What I'm doing right now is obviously getting their bases started, because there's not long left to go with these guys. You can see that I've gone for like a blue colour underneath as well, getting more blue in there, because of course you've got so much red in the cloak. So yeah, these guys are nearly done. So next step for me is just finish off the armour on the arms, get that inked up, get it highlighted up, and then I'm going to do a couple of little details at the same time as those guys over there, and then get the red cloaks to finish off with the base. So that's my speak friend and hobby vlog. I didn't actually get much hobbying done. I think I've painted the Rhinox hide on the bases there, and then got a little bit of silver on a couple of the armour, but that's probably about it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, this will either go up on Sunday if there's no speak friend in question, in which case this will be speak friend in question. But if Jamie has managed to do it with James Braund, then this is my speak friend and hobby vlog. So whatever happens, you've got a bit of extra content. So don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming, guys.